Is there anything that you want to leave us here? Any advice to maybe some guys that want to walk in your shoes, some of these youngsters that are approaching the Bantam draft or in Pee Wee right now that would love to wear a WHL jersey one day?
Yeah, I'd probably say just don't overthink, right? I mean, everyone tells you growing up, always have fun on the ice, and I mean that's what you should be out there for. And I wouldn't say another thing would say be don't change the way you play for another person. I mean, I've seen a lot of my friends kind of change the way they've played due to the fact that they're getting harped on and they want to try and change something. Well, you kind of got there because that's who you are. You got there because of the type of player you are right now. And just don't change your game. I mean, just be yourself. Live in the moment as much as you can, and it goes by pretty quick because if you think about it, just 2 years ago I was in Bantam, and now got the NHL draft coming up. So just live in the moment because it all goes by so fast, and the friends along the way could be your best friends for life.
That was Conor Geekie, the second overall selection in the WHL Bantam draft in 2019 and current member of the Winnipeg Ice. And you are listening to the Up My Hockey podcast with Jason Podolin. Just watch me now. Welcome to Up My Hockey with Jason Podolin, where we deconstruct the NHL journey, discuss what it takes to make it, and have a few laughs along the way. I'm your host, Jason Podolin, a 31st overall draft pick who played 41 NHL games, but thought he was destined for 1,000. Learn from my story and those of my guests. This is a hockey podcast about reaching your potential. Hello there and welcome back to the Up My Hockey podcast for a bonus episode with Conor Geekie. Conor is a player right now in the WHL, playing for the Winnipeg Ice. He is a name that you should become familiar with as he was the second overall draft pick in the Bantam draft in 2019 to Matthew Savoy, another name you should get familiar with for the upcoming NHL draft because they're both going to be high round picks. Conor is a big boy, 6'4", over 200 pounds already, and is currently playing in the bubble in his first WHL season as a 16-year-old for the Winnipeg Ice. And I believe right now, as I record this, he has 19 points in 22 games, which is obviously something to be proud of. It's a tough league to play in at any age, let alone at 16, and to have almost a point a game. I think that's showing of signs of things to come and his future. Conor and I have a common person in our lives, and that's Craig Geekie. Craig is Conor's dad. Craig was also my teammate in Spokane. So Craig and I have kept in contact a little bit through the years, and now with his boys moving through the ranks, one of his sons is Morgan Geekie, who plays with the Carolina Hurricanes, and now having Conor come through, who's the youngest of three boys, and looks like he's destined for a professional career as well. We have kept in touch, and he got me in touch with Conor. I thought this was going to be an interesting conversation. One, because I know there's a lot of players out there that want to get drafted in WHL draft or have been drafted and who are trying to navigate their way to the NHL. And for Conor at such a young age to be recognized as being, a big thing, a second overall draft pick, the lights are on you pretty young. So I want to talk with him about how he was navigating that, what his time was like right now in the WHL bubble, how his family life has influenced him so far, and what he looks towards in the future. And it just turned out from the interview, because I've never had a chance to meet Conor prior to this discussion, what an amazing kid this guy is. Like, holy smokes, just seems super easy to be around, very authentic, very transparent. Looks like he wants to smile, looks like he'd like to laugh, and knowing some of the people that are involved in the Winnipeg Ice organization, he's a fantastic hockey player. So as you know from me, if you've listened to anything I've done before, I believe in developing the person behind the player, and Conor sounds like he's just an amazing person, and that's going to benefit him moving forward. So I think you're going to like this interview. It's a shorter one. It shines a light on life right now in the WHL and what a current top prospect for the upcoming draft here in the 21-22. So the 2022 NHL draft, Conor will be a name you will have heard and you will be hearing more of. So this is the interview before he becomes a huge star. Please enjoy the interview with Conor Geekie. All right, here we are. We're in the Up My Hockey member group, and I have a special guest today by the name of Conor Geekie joining us from the WHL bubble in Regina. Welcome to the show, Conor.
How's it going?
Hey, man, we're doing great over here. Are you getting out much? How does that whole life there work where you're at right now?
Yeah, it's kind of like a trap, I guess. A lot of people like to call it. Not really allowed to go outside, just kind of hang out in the room, and let's just say the guys get tired of each other pretty quick when it comes to games and who's winning all the time and cards and stuff like that.
So because are you all in one campus? By you all, I mean all the teams are in one like big facility. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So basically, I think 4 teams are in the University of Regina dorms, which is us, Moose Jaw, Brandon, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert. So 5, I guess, and the other 2 are in the Lutheran College, just about 10 minutes from here. It's pretty good. They got a good setup going. I mean, I don't think any other spot could really do this because the dorms just have kind of everything you need, restaurants and stuff like that. So
right. So do you see these other teams? Like, do you cross paths with them away from the rink?
Yeah, obviously. After a win and you guys are both trying to get into the elevator, it's a little weird, but it's nothing too crazy. I mean, we can't leave our floors. I mean, we have 6, 7, 8, so we just 8's the coaching staff. So floor 7, if they're making a lot of riot, they they'll get a text from the coaching staff or something like that. But no, just 6 and 7 is kind of where I rotate through anyways.
Awesome. Yeah, so for people just joining and welcome to the show here, we got Conor Geekie. Conor is the 2nd overall draft pick in the WHL draft, and that was in 2019 to the Winnipeg Ice. Conor is in his first year now here in the WHL in this abbreviated season as a 16-year-old. And just for those of you who are not quite too familiar, I mean, playing at 16 is rare. There's not that many that get to play at 16. There was the exception this year with Connor Bedard, first time in WHL history that an underage was able to play at 15 years old. But yeah, Connor's cutting his teeth in WHL, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk with Conor about what life is like there in this WHL bubble in Regina and you know, how he got there, and also what he's looking forward to here in the NHL coming up, which is his draft year next year. So with this bubble, how about we even go back, Conor, before the bubble? So you had your sights set on obviously a full WHL season. I'm sure you're excited to get going. And then all the delays with COVID. What was life like for you prior to getting inside that bubble?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I got to play in the MJ a couple, I think 9 games or something. That was more than anything I could ask for. Verdon was happy enough to take me in, and I was super happy to get with that organization. Played a couple games there, which was a huge help just for like that jump, right? It's a little harder going from midget right to the dub, but like that midget MJ jump, not many people think it's that big of a deal, but I found it a huge impact. And just a lot of working out when everything really got shut down. The whole fam was kind of at home there for a little bit. So me, Morgan, and Noah, and even Dad's in the gym a lot too. So we all took our turns in the garage. Had the heater blaring in there and the music blasting. So it was good.
Yeah, it's interesting that you. I want to touch on 2 things there. 1, the MJ and the jump, and then 2 was your family and the influence of your brothers. But let's start with the MJ, because you said that was a great place to get your feet wet. Did you notice was the biggest adjustment moving into that league from midget?
Yeah, probably just it's a little faster and it's more physical to me, anyways. I'm a big guy. I'm not the heaviest guy out there. I'm pretty lanky, but just getting my feet wet and just having people like actually come at you and want to run you, it's a different vibe, right? I mean, the dub's obviously not that physical, I would say, but it's definitely a huge help just to understand and awareness, time and space. It's a little bit quicker than the midget, but just time and space and stuff like that, and getting to know your game a little more, I guess you could say, enhancing it for moving up in the world, I guess.
Did you notice a difference as far as, I mean, you mentioned the physicality, but did you also notice a difference in strength on puck battles and small area tight spots?
Yeah, for sure. It was more kind of, I'm used to going into the corner and having 3-second battle and maybe one of us coming out with it, right? But this was like a 10-second battle. 3 guys were coming in, like you're getting pinned to the boards, your cross checks. It's just a whole new world.
Yeah, for sure. So you actually found that the MJ was more physical than the WHL's playing right now?
I would say not in a regular WHL season. I'd say right now, just because of the fact that not many guys are looking to run guys or fight or get injured. I wouldn't say the rivalry is as intense as it normally is, but it's definitely still physical. I wouldn't say it's not. I'd just say when I was in the MJ, especially against Verdun, against Portage, it got pretty hectic.
Have you gotten your first dust up yet?
No, I have not. I've been told by a lot of my buddies from home that they're tired of seeing me score. They want to see me fight. So I said, if you look at my face, I don't look like much of a fighter, but we'll see. We'll see what time brings us.
That's funny. So, if you were to describe yourself as a player, who would you describe yourself as? Maybe if you were to use some in the NHL, and I don't. I hated that question as a junior because you felt like, saying something like, oh, I feel like I'm a, Nathan McKinnon. People are like, you're not, like, how are you Nathan McKinnon? But you know what I mean? Like, I'm more the style of play, the way you play the game. So don't feel like you're bragging. But who would you pick in an NHL uniform right now that you think that you play a bit like?
Yeah, we actually had this discussion like 2 weeks ago. Me and Peyton Krebs, my roommate, we were just kind of talking like, who did you say growing up? And he said a couple names, and one of our teammates said Sidney Crosby, and we were all just laughing. But no, I think Leon Draisaitl would definitely be one of them. Just kind of a passer, playmaker. But I mean, obviously, maybe someone didn't see McDavid's quote, but he said he's got one of the best shots in the game, right? Just like that sneaky undercover shot that not many people know you have. I feel like that's kind of me for sure.
Cool. So you like to slow the game down a little bit is the way I like to call it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just seeing lanes is kind of my unique skill. I think me and Morgan both have that ability to slow it down and see seams that the ordinary people can't see.
That's cool. Yeah, that I guess hockey sense or hockey IQ is what that chalks up to, and a lot of people say. Do you feel that was something that was inherent in you, or is it something that you got taught by someone?
Definitely inherited and taught. I mean, my dad coached me for I don't even know how long. I mean, just he always said you can't teach IQ, but you can teach skating, shooting, stuff like that, right? I mean, IQ is something that I'm super lucky to have, and I wouldn't be the player I am today without my dad or my family. Just the way they brought me up and raised me. But definitely, I think it was just kind of a natural instinct, just to have see lanes like that, and just watching hockey obviously helped me a lot. Watch my brother grow up, so it's kind of all just a group thing, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I saw a couple highlights of you the other night. WHL.ca for those listening right now. You don't necessarily have to be, live in the WHL city to be a fan of the amazing players that are coming up in there. And WHL.ca does a great job of doing a little recap of the games and stuff. So I saw a game where you had 2 assists. It was just the other night, and they were both real nice plays where, like I said, if you had a shoot first mentality, you wouldn't have made the plays that you did. You kind of look somebody off and put it back door to one of your line mates there. Real nice vision. And one of the things I thought about is a lot of times when you're young, especially in a league, and you are playing against really quality players, is that the game can seem faster. And because it seems faster, we feel like we have to rush. But that play in particular, I thought that you really had some poise and composure, and you took the time that you had. Has there been a point this year, maybe earlier on, where you felt you were a little bit more rushed and you weren't making the plays that you wanted to make?
Yeah, actually, it happened 2 games ago against Brandon. It kind of happened out of nowhere. I wasn't really expecting the game to just feel like that, but I mean, you know better than anyone that you have those games where you feel like everyone's just buzzing around you and you're kind of in quicksand. So that was definitely the game where I felt like I couldn't make a play. It just felt super awkward, but obviously, with my teammates, they kind of all brought me back together, and we actually lost that one in overtime, but we fought back, and it was definitely there's a couple moments every week, I'd say, where you're kind of just, maybe it's the odd shift where you just feel like everyone's going quicker than you, but then kind of bring your head back down, and I'd say I'm decent at recovering back from it.
So I want to take a short break from the conversation with Conor to once again thank you for listening, and to remind you that if you want to do the show a favor, if you want to do young athletes a favor, the best way to do that is to promote the show. And you can promote the show by either sharing it on your social media, by talking about it with your friends, or by writing a review. The reviews really, 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 really do matter. So please do comment, do like, do share, do review on iTunes. Is amazing what that can do for the growth of a podcast. So get it out there. The more people that do, the more people are going to hear hear Conor's story and the stories of the others that are past episodes. I do believe that there's value in each one of the conversations that we have, and it will help somebody somewhere, whether they're going through a hard time, whether they didn't make a team they wanted to make, or whether they're just aspiring to be the best that they can be. I believe there's stories and value in all of these. So thanks again for listening. I'm going to start covering a little bit more of the WHL. I believe it's my old stomping grounds. It's what gave me my start. And I think it's great to promote the the people and the personalities that are in it. And Conor is a great example of what a WHL athlete looks like and can be and aspire to be. And I hope you're enjoying the conversation. So let's get back to it with Conor Geekie. Good. I was just going to ask that. Because a lot of guys aren't good at that, or even aren't even conscious of how to be good at it, which I think is an interesting way to put it, because you can get caught up in the moment and you don't even really know the moment's happening. You don't really know how to respond to it. Is there something that you do during the game that maybe is helpful for you? Or is there something that you do afterwards, or even maybe pre-game that helps you get ready for competition?
Yeah, pre-game, I'd say just, I wouldn't say as much visualizing, but during O Canada, I just like to remember our systems and stuff like that. Just so if I do get lost in, say, my own skill, I can always just go back to the basics and try and find a way to get back. And I wouldn't say before the game, but I just say, like, growing up, my dad was always there just saying, live in the moment. I mean, obviously there's no such thing as a perfect player. Like, one bad move, I mean, you go to the bench, say, throw your water bottle down, or you take a squirt to the face, and you're kind of like, okay, let's go, new shift, new game, let's go. And then my line mates are super good with that kind of stuff, and we always just, lots of talk on the bench to me is huge.
Awesome. That's a great philosophy, because I know to get to where you're at, usually the personalities involved in that are usually driven personalities, usually personalities that don't like making mistakes, right? And then when we start making mistakes, sometimes that can snowball, right? Because we can get pretty critical of ourselves. How have the coaching staff been with you this year, being a 16-year-old? Obviously, as a top prospect, maybe you realize it, maybe you don't, but usually you have a little bit longer rope, right? Meaning that you're allowed to make a few more mistakes. So they know you're going to be a big part of the future there, and they want you to be. How has that been, stepping into the league and just figuring the league out and being able to make mistakes and come back and know you're going to get another shift?
Yeah, obviously, I hate to say it, but it is true, right? I mean, obviously, higher draft picks, I'd say, get a little bit more rope, but James Patrick's super good with keep me in check, and so is my dad. I mean, he's not coaching me, but he'll still pick out some moments where I need to be better. And obviously, I try not to think about getting more ice because I'm a second overall draft pick. I mean, I always tell the guys, I mean, I could play the worst game of my life, but if we win, we win. Like, I'm always going to be excited for everyone. And just someone who scores like another player, I think that's another exciting thing about hockey that you don't really get anywhere else. But I'd say for sure, it's definitely an advantage. I mean, just coming in and, maybe turning the puck over, and Jeep will pull me aside and tell me what I did wrong there, but still giving myself another shot and put myself in the same situation. It just gives me a little more confidence, I'd say.
Oh, that's great. No, I mean, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot there saying like you're getting any favors. I just mean like it's tough sometimes, and more I was relating that to even like taking that next step to the NHL, where maybe you're fighting for that spot. You're only going to get 6 minutes of ice a game, and every play seems like it's for the Stanley Cup championship. And if you don't make it quite right, you might be on the bench or back down to the minors. With a coach that can communicate that to you, saying, you know what, man, you're 16. You're not going to do everything perfect, right? If something goes wrong, we're going to keep you in the lineup. You're still going to be around. For a lot of guys, that can be a nice little ability to breathe, right, and go out there and play.
Yeah.
And from what I hear about Jeep, it sounds like he's pretty good at communicating that.
Oh yeah, he's unreal. I mean, he's been in the business for how long? So I mean, he knows what he's doing, and he supports everyone on the team, and he communicates well with me. So I can't really picture a better organization.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you're in a great spot there. One of the interesting things I thought, well, first of all, there's been a couple questions already. Is he former Chief Craig Geekie's son? Yes, he is, which is how Connor and I got in contact, because Craig and I have been in contact through the years. He's been involved in their development, Morgan and Connor and their older son Noah, and in the sports there growing up in Manitoba. And I've always appreciated Craig's opinion on things. And I said, you know what, it'd be fun to interview Connor. I think he'd be interested in it. So anyways, Craig hooked us up. And another viewer here says he got to see your brother in Amstar because Chiefs had to play against him so much. So there's definitely some people from Spokane watching this. So yes, and maybe it's a good time to talk. You mentioned your dad a couple of times, that he was your coach. You're from a real small town in Manitoba. 2 older brothers, both heck of athletes from what I understand. Obviously, Morgan is in the NHL with the Hurricanes now. What was it like having 2 older brothers that you were trying to keep up with?
Yeah, obviously, it's kind of who I am now. I'm the 3rd child. I like to be a little bit more cocky, I guess you could say, than they did. Growing up, trying to hold my ground, but no, for sure. Without them, I mean, I'd say competing is one of my biggest attributes in hockey. I hate losing. Kind of like my dad. I assume he wasn't the biggest loser in the world, but he doesn't like doing it. But no, I'd say just growing up and having that competitive edge, and they were always hard on me, and I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. I mean, you never really got credit until you did something really impressive. I mean, we pulled up a couple of videos, I think last month. It was like of us playing, and I was 7 and Morgan was 14 and Noah, I think, was 11, and we're all kind of like, well, like, how am I even playing against them? And they're hacking and we're running around, and it's stuff like that just keeps me motivated, I'd say, and just growing up with them teaching me the ropes, and obviously them being as good as they were is definitely a huge influence.
I have 3 sons myself, Connor, and so there's 40 months between them, so a little bit tighter than you guys. But my youngest, my oldest is a darn good little hockey player, super dedicated, really committed. My youngest is 8, and he's chasing these other 2, right? He doesn't even realize it, right? And the older brothers, they don't even realize that he's younger either, so he's just one of the boys, right? Yeah. But for him to try and keep up, like, I mean, I was talking with your dad about that. I mean, I do think it's an advantage being in a sports family and being the youngest, because you're just in that environment all the time, right? You're scratching and clawing for everything. I'm sure, and they didn't want to give it to you either. Usually, brothers aren't too empathetic about the younger one.
No, they definitely weren't. There's definitely a lot of bickering going on during the games.
That's great. With Morgan, I heard Noah was a heck of a hockey player and heck of a ball player. Morgan stuck to hockey and is in the show now. Having him around in the summer, learning what it takes to be a professional, an NHL professional. How big of an impact has that been on you, just watching how he goes about his business?
Yeah, just honestly, I never give him enough credit. I mean, you're the younger bro. You never like to be wrong, but he does everything so perfect, and you kind of you think to yourself, and you kind of want to be in that situation. And the way he helps me out and brings me up is he doesn't. I don't think he means to, but everything he says, I kind of take into consideration. And like to learn from him a bit and just skating with him. He does everything just like you would at the pros, and there's no really taking a day off. And if it is, it's for a good cause, right? But growing up with him, I think that's probably one of my biggest cards I can pull. I mean, just having him there all the time, and not many people think it's a huge deal, but just having him there is, yeah, it's pretty. I'm pretty lucky, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good that I know you come from great roots there, and your dad and your mom have raised you guys right, and it sounds like you're appreciative of that. And that's one thing that sometimes people do take for granted, is not like their environment, right? Their ecosystem. Yeah. And sometimes you don't really realize how advantageous it is or isn't. But yeah, having that role model, and that's somebody that you can maybe pick up the phone, and someone on a daily basis, you get to watch how they go about their stuff. I mean, I've had tons of people on this program, and sometimes you don't find that guy to the NHL. Sometimes you don't find that guy ever, right? You know, like that you really can model yourself after. So yeah, I mean, it's great to hear you say that. And don't worry, we won't let him hear about it. He doesn't have to hear this interview, but it's great to hear you mention that, because I think that's a big thing. Going back to your bantam draft there, Conor, at what point was it apparent to you that you were kind of a big deal in that age group, and that you might go as high as you did? And when you did realize that, did that really mean anything to you, or how did that affect your draft year?
I think the time that I really knew that it was kind of a real thing is it was probably right around the draft area, I think. And I was just being me, you know, doing badminton. I think the night of the draft, I had my dentist appointment, and then I was going to badminton provincials. And I think there was one phone call with Jake and Matt, and they kind of said they weren't really leaving the draft without me. And I thought that was kind of like pretty surreal thing. I mean, I knew I was maybe lucky enough to go in the first round, but having them say that after I got drafted, I think that was really the turning point. Because, I mean, I never really knew before the draft that I could go second overall. Obviously, every kid hopes and dreams. But after the draft, when they gave me the call and said that, I mean, I was pretty, I don't even know the words. It was kind of just a great deal of emotion, and it was awesome.
So you knew, because you weren't living under a rock, you knew that, you know, first round was probably in the cards. There was probably people watching you that year, you know, or talking with you, I guess, leading up to it. Was there any, I don't know, was there any nerves about it during the year? Were you worried about people in the stands, or were you just going about doing your business?
Yeah, again, it all comes back to my dad. He just kind of said, yeah, let's go play. I mean, it's just another year. It's just another day. You can't, I mean, if you play bad, you have a bad game. I mean, that's all in the mindset. So I wouldn't say put too much pressure on myself. Obviously, I wanted to do good. I wanted to play the best I could, right? But you kind of just go out and you play. And I mean, when I'm on the ice, I don't think about anything but the game. Obviously, there's a couple of conversations on the bench that are get away from hockey, but I think everyone's like that. And just, yeah, I wouldn't say it affected me too much, but I definitely knew that I might have a chance to do my dream.
That's sweet. An interesting thing for people listening, maybe they don't know, is that your teammate, well, not your teammate as of we speak right now, but Matthew Savoy went first overall that draft. So how is that between the two of you? What's your relationship like? And is there any a little bit of back and forth jabs about maybe you should have went one and he should have went two?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't say we're best friends at all by any means, but we're definitely friends. I mean, we stay in touch. He's obviously in Dubuque right now and having a good season, so I wouldn't say there's too much bickering about 1 and 2. I think it's kind of just we're both pretty excited to go that high in the draft anyways. And I mean, Sav was also highly touted to go 1, so I mean, I'm not complaining about going number 2, and I don't think he's complaining about going number 1. So sure. We're both pretty thankful to even go in the draft for sure.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, because that's an interesting element. I was just thinking, I mean, if I was in that spot, because now you're both headed into your draft year. Interesting about hockey, especially at that level, is that one, you want to have team success for sure. And I know that's what Jeep is preaching, and team success breeds individual success. But yeah, I mean, you're also competitors, right? You're also competitors in the sense that, you do want to stand out. You do want to perform well and show your best cards. What does that look like for you next year? And how are you? What are people saying about you, about the draft? Do you follow that kind of stuff? And what are your hopes for next year?
Yeah, next year, obviously, I hope to have a good year. I mean, I'm gonna work my butt off to just try and get stronger and keep working as hard as I can on and off the ice. But I wouldn't say I follow that stuff too much. I don't think I ever really have. I remember when I was younger, my grandpa would ask me how many points I had, and I would have no clue, right? So I wouldn't say I follow that stuff too much. Obviously, my buddy might send me a picture of the draft rankings or stuff like that. But I mean, there's better than anyone that those rankings really don't mean anything. It's kind of all it's a big surprise. Obviously, 1, 2 might be a pretty hard lock, but yeah, I mean, after that, I mean, it could go from you could be ranked number 4 and go in the second round. Like nobody really knows at that time. So yeah. I'd say I just want to have a good year. I mean, I think this team has the opportunity to win a championship one year since we're that young, and I think next year might be a good chance. So I think that's probably going to be on my mind a little more.
Right. Yeah, that's tons of fun. And obviously, like I said, with the team success, the longer you play, the more eyes are on you, right? And that's what you want, is eyes on you in that scenario. And good for you to just have that, of the moment mentality too, and not get caught up in the stats. Obviously, everyone's a different personality. You've seen that throughout your young years here in hockey dressing rooms already, right? Like not everybody's wired the same way, and everyone gets along a little differently. And the fact that you move with the river water like that is pretty good. I think that's going to help you, especially in a year where some guys get pretty anxious about what's being said about them because they follow it too much and they don't handle it maybe the best. But the fact that you can just keep your eyes in the road and keep rolling is good. Is that I'm assuming that's where you want this hockey to take you? Do you see or have hopes of having an NHL jersey on one day?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's every kid's dream when they're growing up. And I mean, watching Morgan do it just made me want it even more. I mean, obviously, I hope to go higher than him so I can have a little bit of bragging rights. I still have it in the WHL draft, but he always brings up his NHL point card, and I said I'm not quite there yet. So we'll try and get higher than him and see what happens, and hopefully maybe put on as good as a first game as he did. Then I can have all the bragging rights.
Yeah, he had a heck of an introduction, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
What did he have? What was his first 2 games or first 3 games? He kind of took the league by storm there last year when he got brought up, right?
Yeah, I think he had 4 points in 2 games, 2 goals, 2 assists or something like that. It was nuts. We were all kind of like, holy, and this was happening. And yeah, he played so good. I don't know, it was weird. You kind of just look at him and then he scores and you're kind of like, oh, well, first goal, that's out of the way, and then he's working Malkin in the corner, and you're like, oh my God. And then, I think Pittsburgh was his favorite team growing up too. So when he lost the draw to Crosby, I had to make sure I got that on video because he lost it clean.
Thank you so much for being here today with my guest, Conor Geekie. The WHL was a real foundational point in my career. I believe it's an age that, provides the foundation for the man you're going to become. And it's really formative years, and it's years that I know I fondly remember. And they can really be impactful, though, in how you look at the rest of your career and how you look at the rest of your life, which is why I think it's such an important time to really dig into what are some of these traits and some of these intangibles that allow you to become the man and the player that you want to be, or the woman and the player you want to be. Which is why I'm so passionate listening to Conor talk about his journey, the influences that he had in his life. And not all of us are able to have influences, really positive hockey influences like Conor and not Conor, like Craig and his wife and his brother that's around him. Like these are powerful sources of inspiration and motivation and guidance. And yeah, what I do with my hockey is to provide that guidance and that mentorship and those perspectives that help So if you are a team, and that is why I'm so excited about reaching out to junior teams now too, and junior teams are reaching out to me, because I think that that really is the perfect age. I mean, it's almost a little bit late, to be quite honest, but I mean, it's the perfect age to start developing new perspectives, to move on to those higher levels. And how are you going to get noticed, and how are you going to be able to make the most out of all situations to provide yourself the greatest opportunity to move forward? And how are you going to develop your character and your personality and your ability to be an amazing teammate, which is not going to help you win games tomorrow and the next day and to win championships, but it's also going to help you and your own personal journey to fit into a locker room somewhere else in the future. So very passionate about what I do there at Up My Hockey, www.upmyhockey.com. Any teams looking for a mindset coach, someone to help provide these foundational principles that players can use as individuals or as a team bonding experience, by all means reach out. I'm building my fall schedule and my fall programs now. So now we'll get back to the interview with Conor Geekie. Cool though, eh? Like that is just so wild. I remember that my first NHL time through, and I got to play against Mario Lemieux, who was my idol, like my god idol growing up, and got to be on the same ice with him. It was just so surreal. Like it was just crazy that you're actually on that ice. And anyways, it might be happening sooner than you know, Conor. Who would be your who's your Lemieux for you, if you were to be able to play on that ice, and who would you be awestruck by, if anyone, in the NHL right now?
Oh, there's a lot of them. I'd probably say like Ovechkin or even a McKinnon, just someone like, I mean, Ovi is always obviously the cool guy because he's just raw talent, right? I mean, doesn't move on the power play yet. He's like fifth or third or maybe second in goals now even ever. And like, you just see guys like that, and you watch them growing up, and you play them on video games, and you're kind of just watching how it all happens. But no, I'd say McKinnon or Ovi for sure would just be cool. I mean, even playing in the NHL, I mean, that's the dream. And playing against, say, like, I don't know, Pittsburgh or Anaheim, and you're like, oh my God, like I play this on my Xbox, but now it's great, stuff like that.
Yeah. If there is something that you want to work on this summer, I know there is. I mean, you mentioned that you felt that your vision is one of your biggest attributes. Kind of tough to work on that over the summer. You know, what would you be trying to bring your game up to get ready for the draft next year?
Definitely my skating. I mean, being a big guy, I think 6'4.5", 6'4" area, being a big guy, I'm not the fastest guy in the world. So skating is definitely going to be my main focus, and being able to just be explosive out of corners and stuff like that. And just obviously just touching up everything around it. I mean, you can always improve your shot. I'm going to be working on that for sure. And my edge work and basically everything evolved around skating, and then my strength, just getting my legs built up and getting a good core so I can work guys in the corner, I guess.
What are you weighing these days?
205, I think.
Oh, geez, you're a big boy though. At 16, yeah. Holy smokes! So you're still growing, do you think, or is that done?
I mean, I hope it's done. I don't want to get too tall and have to grow into my body again. That was a rough patch for sure. But no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I'm still growing, obviously it'll be pretty cool to be 6'6" area or 6'7" on skates. But I think right now I like my height, and I mean, I don't want to have to grow into my body again and have to go through all the uncoordinated stage. So
right. Was there I mentioned before our call that maybe we would chat about adversity. Has there been any point in your young career to date that was, you know, whether it was a big slump or you know, I know you said you played for your dad, but maybe there's some angst there for a while at some point, or like an injury, anything to date that you had to fight through to get to where you are right now?
Yeah, there was definitely so they had the Youth Olympic junior team or whatever for Team Canada that went over to Switzerland. And I think I got mono 4 days before we left. And that was probably it was definitely the worst thing that's happened during my hockey career. But I think it was also the best learning curve for me, just understanding that, you know, I missed an opportunity, but I'm going to work as hard as I can to, you know, make sure I'm up to that level still, even after my, I think, 3 months off. But it was good for me because I got to do a lot of other things. I mean, I got to curl again back in middle years, we used to curl, but now I got to do it again last year, and we ended up going to provincials, and it was kind of just a whole new side of winter that I obviously don't get to see all that much. But I'd say for sure that was definitely the learning curve, or even just not getting as many points as I hoped in the MJ. I mean, I was definitely fighting the puck a bit there, and coming here and getting my first goal, I think that was just a sign of relief, just to get it off my back.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. I guess a word that came to mind there was gratitude too. I mean, when you get sick or an injury or something like that happens, and you can't do what it is that you want to do, you just physically aren't able to do it. Sometimes it's good to keep that kind of close and remember that, because when we are feeling healthy, or maybe we're just feeling a little bit tired for some reason or whatever, we can find that next level, being like, I actually get to go out there today. This is something to be grateful for.
Yeah, it's like another motivation type deal, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you brought up the badminton and the curling and stuff, because that is one thing that, a lot of hockey players, or kids who want to be hockey players, and it starts so young now that they're playing hockey like legitimately all the time. And I know it was a big part of your guys' life and important to your father, and I'm sure your mother too, that, we need to play a lot of things. And I want you guys to be exposed to a lot of things and make sure that you become an athlete, not just a hockey player. Was that hard for you to adopt, or was athletics just in your bone and you wanted to play everything?
I think athletics was just in my bone. I mean, my mom played a lot of softball and hardball growing up, and my dad played baseball, soccer. He was the goalie. He's played hockey. It's just all the stuff like that. And then Nolan Morgan obviously did it, so I don't think I really had that much of an option. But my dad always said growing up, I mean, they're going to be proud of us either way. I mean, whether we wanted to do chess or whether we wanted to play hockey and stuff like that. So I think playing baseball and hockey and volleyball and stuff like that was just another chance to just be with my friends again, right? Because better than anyone that time can be cut short quite quick. But I think playing volleyball and badminton, just that helps so much. And it also helps when you got a pretty good team under your hands. So we got to go to provincials and do all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's huge for me. I don't think I'd have it any other way. I don't disagree with playing hockey all the time, but I definitely encourage playing a lot of different sports.
Yeah, I think I do think it's a bit up to the individual, but I'm of the camp that I think that you actually become a better hockey player the more athletic you can be. So your time off skates, and like you said, whether it's playing baseball or soccer or rugby or any of these things, right? You're moving your body in different ways. I think you're encouraging coordination, your ability to adapt, even the ability to pick up plays. You talk about your hockey IQ, right? Like to see things in soccer on a lacrosse field or whatever, and then you can take those over and they translate into hockey. I think you have a better grasp of the game you want to play. Do you feel that maybe that stuff made you a better hockey player? Yeah,
for sure it did. I mean, just badminton, say hand-eye, right? Like you got to hit the birdie or whatever, and then say puck's up in the air, I have the ability to bat it down now. And I think the mental part of the game to me is what is a huge difference. I mean, in baseball, I think it's one of the hardest mentally draining games there is. So, I mean, mentally, baseball helped me just back and forth through hockey. I mean, going through a slump in baseball is pretty much like not scoring in hockey. So it's pretty easy to just kind of go back and forth with it. But I mean, I encourage it. I mean, I think that helped me throughout my whole career. But I mean, it's all on whether the person likes it or not, right? I mean, I'm not going to tell you to play baseball if you don't like it.
Right.
You're kind of really getting nothing out of it, right? So I think enjoying the game is a huge part, and just having fun with everything. I think that's what made me who I am today.
Yeah, great point, man. Great point. That's great. Yeah, you don't want to be doing something you don't like. When you talk about the mental aspect, golf for me comes to mind. I can totally agree with you with pitching or in baseball, because there's so much time between plays where you have the opportunity to think right about what's happening, right? So you can get in your own way a lot of the times. And I think golf is a lot like that too. Do you play golf?
Yeah, I definitely, Morgan and I definitely hit the course, and I think Noah does quite a bit in the summer too when he comes out here.
Right. Do you notice a similarity? I think when I work with because I work with young athletes too on the mindset side, and like the ability to reset and the ability to focus and try and stay in the moment. Like I think golf is such a good playground to try some of that mindset stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. Like golf, I mean, I'm not the greatest at controlling my emotions on the course. I mean, when Morgan's winning, it's definitely if we're on the last few holes and he's up 3, I mean, a club may be thrown or something like that. But no, it's definitely a close top 2 for me, baseball and hockey, or baseball and golf. Sorry, just I mean, understanding when you could have a bad shot, but yeah, you got to drop your ball and you got to hit a perfect one next time. I mean, it's almost impossible if you think about it. If you're kind of just going into it, getting started in golf, and you see people who are just starting getting so frustrated about it. That's why athletes like Justin Thomas or Dustin Johnson have so many championships, right? Like Tiger Woods can hit a bad shot, yet he's in the bushes and wrapped around the tree, and he's 2 feet away for a birdie. It's kind of just the mental side of things, to me, is super cool.
Yeah, really important. And for hockey players, the ability to reset, the ability to handle strange situations, new coaches, new players, and your year here is really, we haven't talked too much about that. I mean, I remember my first year in Spokane, crossing a border, new billets, right? New teammates, youngest guy in the league, youngest guy in the team, trying to figure out a new school, all the pressures that come with being there. It's a lot going on, so testament to you, man. It seems like you're handling it just unbelievable. It looks like you got a great set of teammates and coaching staff there. You got good support with your brother and with your parents at home. And it's just awesome to see how well you're doing there. And I hope everything keeps rolling for you, man. And anyways, if there's anyone out there that has a question for Conor, by all means ask. Is there anything that you want to leave us here? Any advice to maybe some guys that want to walk in your shoes, some of these youngsters that are approaching the bantam draft or in Pee Wee right now that would love to wear a WHL jersey one day?
Yeah, I'd probably say just don't overthink, right? I mean, everyone tells you growing up, always have fun on the ice, and I mean that's what you should be out there for. And I wouldn't say another thing would say be don't change the way you play for another person. I mean, I've seen a lot of my friends kind of change the way they've played due to the fact that they're getting harped on and they want to try and change something. Well, you kind of got there because that's who you are. You got there because of the type of player you are right now. And just don't change your game. I mean, just be yourself. Live in the moment as much as you can, and it goes by pretty quick because if you think about it, just 2 years ago I was in bantam, and now got the NHL draft coming up. So just live in the moment because it all goes by so fast, and the friends along the way could be your best friends for life.
Yeah, that's true. And that's one of the things that I know your dad will tell you, and I'll tell you too, is, I remember some of the goals. I remember some of the wins and some of the fun rides to championships. But I mean, the thing that you take with you is those card games you're talking about right now, and those little chirps and all that stuff. Like that's the stuff that sticks with you and the people that you're meeting there. So I think being a good teammate first is one of the things I would add to that. Be a good teammate, support others, and not only is that going to help you in those friendships, but it's also going to help you be a better hockey player because they're going to want to go to bat for you and see success for you. So, thanks so much, Conor. You were a gem, man. Really well spoken. 16 years old. You're doing a great job. I know there's going to be many interviews in your future, and can't wait to see your progression, man.
No, thanks, Jason. I appreciate being able to come on the show. I mean, you're doing a great job here too. I always hear the odd podcast going on my dad's radio when they're driving to a game or something. So you're doing great here.
Sweet, man. Appreciate it. Best of luck to the Ice. Say hi to everybody there, and I look forward to watching you and Matthew battle it out next year for supremacy.
Perfect. Thanks, Jason.
All right, man. Cheers. That concludes our episode with Conor Geekie. I know there's going to be big things ahead. I know Ryan Ginter, he's been a guest on the program before. He's working with the Winnipeg Ice now and sees Conor on a daily basis. I really respect his opinion, and he just says he's getting better every day. And really, really is a big advocate for the person that Conor Geekie is as well. And we all know when you have the tools and natural aptitude, the skill set as a hockey player, and you combine that with good people skills and good human skills, that you really have a recipe for greatness. And not to put any undue pressure on Mr. Geekie there, but it seems to be that the compass is pointing him in the right direction, and really a testament to the family, the upbringing, the organization of the Winnipeg Ice, and everything else around him that's really helping him move on and to achieve these great things. So I'm very interested in following Conor's career from this point forward. He has gained a fan in me. It seems like a really great kid and somebody that I want to support, and I think it's somebody that you want to support as well, and follow Conor's career and watch the draft day saga unfold, as I'm sure his name will get called somewhere high on the board. So yes, thank you so much for being here today. Learn that environments do matter. I think that's the thing today, like the foundation, the roots, the team that you have around you does make a difference. And although parents are well-intentioned, well-meaning, lots of times we don't have the answers, and it's okay to not have the answers. That's why we provide support for our athletes that sometimes we don't have the ability to do ourselves. So please find that, whether it's a coach, whether it's someone like me, whether it's a program, have those tools available for your athlete, because it really is a difference maker for them moving forward. So until next time, play hard, keep your head up.